Hi, this is Vida Patil, your host, and today I'm very excited to talk about startup trends. Before that, I want to share with you my experience attending the FalconX Masterclass. This is hosted in Silicon Valley every quarter, and I've been attending this for the past year and a half. And I'm here today to share my top learnings from this workshop. This is also a showcase of the startup trends which I would like to talk about with the youth entrepreneurs. It was an exciting workshop. A lot of aspiring youth who want to pursue startups or who are already neck deep in their startup came to this workshop and got really good advice, whether it is about hiring their next CTO or whether it is about charting a course for the go to market strategy or whether it is about positioning their startup. This masterclass was a really good mix of startup founders in different age groups. We also had investors, industry experts, and veteran Silicon Valley, philanthropists and a lot of mix of people who are trying to pursue ventures in different spaces. They all have the same problem: how to make my venture successful, how to make sure my messaging reaches to my customer, how to make sure that we grow and scale and thrive. So these were all covered in this masterclass, and I'm going to share my learnings and findings from the workshop right now. So let's get started. The very first thing which hit me during this workshop was one of the opening slides. This opening slide, look at it carefully.
All that I want to share here is in a small area like this in Silicon Valley, which is at 35 miles by 15 miles, I've only taken about 10 companies. I've taken just 10 companies and I've given the revenues and the market cap of these companies. The revenue basically come to about $1 trillion now. And market cap is about $8 trillion. Okay. And I've done some math in terms of how these companies are valued in the market based on revenue, based on year over year growth, and based on the PE ratio. PE is price to earning ratio, right? So you can actually see these companies. But the point here is these product companies, all of them were founded by maybe 2 or 3 founders. All of them. With a lot of them with their personal money, not even with venture funding or anything. And a lot of companies went through massive challenges. In fact, some of them had even questions about the survivability, whether they were going to even survive or not. I mean, those of you who recall, Oracle stock had dropped to almost like $2 at one point of time. This is even after going public. The whole survivability of Oracle itself was being questioned. And same with Apple too. When Apple stock had dropped to almost like $2 in 1998, 1999, and everybody in the world was pretty much questioning the overall strategy of Apple, whether it is the right thing for Apple to build the hardware, build the operating system, build the applications, build everything. But Steve Jobs knew the value of the entire assets that Apple had and turned that into some incredible opportunities for the company. So the point is that if you are an entrepreneur, right, if you are starting with maybe 2 or 3 founders, you may be thinking, man, how am I going to get there? I'll tell you, this is exactly how we grew as 2 people starting the company and then turning that into a leader in the market.
It talks about how just a few product companies in Silicon Valley are able to generate several trillion dollars worth of revenue. Think about it, guys. $1 trillion revenue. It can be the GDP of an entire nation. So that is being generated in a very small square footage area in California. What separates or differentiates this particular landscape from any other landscape in any other part of the world? So the reason we brought this up was we wanted to really find out, can this kind of ecosystem be created by changing your mindset? For me, mindset is a very great topic, because I am a mindset coach. I coach people to change their mindsets, whether it's an organization level or whether it's at the level of a startup. So is the mindset of people in Silicon Valley very different? Is that why Silicon Valley is thriving? So one of the findings from the masterclass for me was that the mindset of the people in Silicon Valley is very encouraging, where you're allowed to try new ideas. It's okay to fail. It's okay that you tried 2 startups and failed, but hey, I'm this investor. I know that you have a great pedigree. You come from a really good college, and you have done good work with both of your startups. We will fix the facts of why both your startups failed, and we'll give you another chance to do your 3rd startup. So this is the mindset of people in Silicon Valley, is what was talked about in the masterclass. The masterclass was hosted by BV Jagadeesh. He's another veteran in Silicon Valley. He's very involved with startups in cloud, healthcare, education. I think he's also looking at startups in the hardware, AI, and robotics. So like a portfolio which spans multiple verticals here. So he came in with his knowledge of last 30-40 years of rolling out massively successful companies like Exodus, Netscaler. They became flagship products for companies like Citrix, driving over $1 billion in revenue, and the kind of impact that he had with these not only these startups, but in giving employment to a lot of people. It literally changed the landscape of the internet and the cloud as it is today. The kind of work he did, now the same impact he's trying to do in the space of philanthropy, in education, and healthcare, if you will. So the reason I brought up BV's profile was he was talking to founders at their level, and this workshop covered that. And in that, he mentions why Silicon Valley is so different. And other than the fact that people are very encouraging here in Silicon Valley, BV also mentioned that all these companies are founded by normal people like you and me. And when you go through failures, you don't give up. That's what separates Silicon Valley. And these 2 people, 1 or 2 people who start the company, they come up with the idea, they go through this whole process of converting it to an MVP and scaling it, crossing the chasm, and then pitching this whole idea to the investors, securing funding. This is a whole recipe, and the masterclass talked about this recipe. So today, the very first takeaway for you, is that whether or not you're in Silicon Valley or you're a global startup, it is very important for you to keep trying and encouraging people around you, not only just people in your startup, but encourage people who are doing their own startups, your friends who are pursuing different kinds of startups. So this is how you create an ecosystem like Silicon Valley, where everyone is encouraging each other, and in this whole process, really good startups come out. So that is the very first takeaway for me from the workshop. Great companies are created by few people, just like you and me. They're normal people, but it's just that they stay close to people who are encouraging and they don't give up. So Silicon Valley's secret recipe is the ecosystem and the founders who don't give up. Really, that's what it comes down to. Because the ecosystem of I don't give up or I'm very encouraging, it translates into infrastructure, it translates into funding, it translates into giving founders a chance to fail and learn quickly. It translates into the agile model or whatever it is. It just translates. So this is the mindset of Silicon Valley. But that is the very first takeaway I got from the masterclass hosted by BV Jagadeesh in Silicon Valley. at the FalconX B2B Accelerator. And this is your takeaway for today. Thank you.